The society lives peacefully in harmony with the environment. And if we can go to the theories of literature, particularly the theory of eco-criticism, it looks at how we can live peacefully with our environment, how we can use our ingeniousness, our creativity to make sure that the environment does not in any way affect us as human beings, but we live in an harmonious way without us destroying it, and at the end of the day, bringing humanity to where it should be. Therefore, at the end of the day, in my paper, I conclude that there is that closeness between literature and science, and all these disciplines, they work towards addressing the issues that affect human society and make it more harmonious. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's have reactions from
you choose a play, the Samaritan, running of the people, and not a novel. Again, maybe because you're talking about the Samaritan and the name of the people, they also have scientific themes. Which do you have an highlight of the themes that you are going to focus on? Because when you look at the Samaritan, there are quite a number of themes dealing with technology, its impact, and the innovation nature of it. So, how far, what are the parameters, to what extent are you going to cover that area? Yes, maybe those, but good job.
Thank you. And those others, but for the purpose of this presentation, I just, my focus, my attention was on the two. But again, we are looking at, if you have read the Samaritan, this text, there is somewhere the writer takes a parallelism of the two societies, 50 years.
A play within a play.
Yes. Yes. Now, in that case, therefore, it draws a parallelism between what would happen when society does not use technology to make sure that the environment is harmonious with them. There will be a serious impact on climate change where it will be raining just once in a year and for just 10 seconds or 10 minutes. Then again, people resort to eating all weird kind of things and even plastics. And by the way, if you look at it, even currently, we are almost there. Climate change is real and it's impacting on us. Remember, again, the next one, how do I intend to go with this? This is a paper for this conference. It is complete. I am not studying this. I am not a student.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kana, for that presentation. I know, most people in the room are more in the education sector, so possibly that is why you're not getting too many reactions, because it's sort of like a newer
and you just love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give a hand on that.
Thank you. I do forget these things. Thank you. Thanks again. I know it is departure from what we are used to in education, but that's the beauty of life. You know, something gets thrown in our midst and then we have to contend with that. Now, let's have our next presentation. I think that was Jacinta. And then after Jacinta, where's my... looks like somebody made away with my schedule. But after Jacinta, I think that's when we have... Is it David? Anybody else who has come in that we have not scheduled? So we'll have Jacinta, then David, and that will conclude for us today. So we are in quite some good time. Thank you. No. These are.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jacinta from School of Education, and I'm presenting on secondary school principles preparedness on implementation of competency-based curriculum. Onto my introduction, we ask ourselves, what is this competency-based education? And as you can see from the screen, is that this is a kind of outcome-based learning. It ensures production of competent graduates. And when we talk about competent graduates, these are individuals who have the right skills, the right competencies, individuals who can fit into the labor market, who can satisfy the labor market with the skills. There is something wrong because I'm on the second screen. No, it just not someone. Sorry for that, please. Even if you do that. Sorry for that. I was saying that when we talk about competency-based education, it's a kind of outcome-based learning. And the key or the aim of this learning is to produce competent graduates. And I was saying that these competent graduates are kind of graduates that have the right skills and competencies that are required or that can be used in the labor market, that can satisfy the labor market. And as you all know that for us to achieve the Vision 2030, we need at least a graduate who can we need graduates. We need graduates who can at least produce on their own, not graduates who wait upon the white collar jobs. So in order for us to achieve this, we need to implement competency-based curriculum, which will help us produce graduates who are competent and they can fit in the labor market. For us to implement the competency-based curriculum effectively, we cannot forget to look at the principals who are the key stakeholders or the managers at the secondary school level, as it is stipulated in the session paper number 1 of 2019, that management of secondary school education depends on the leadership of principals, and how these principals relate with teachers and the other stakeholders matters a lot in the academic achievement or defines the implementation bit at the secondary school level. As we look at principals, these are the key people who, even when it comes to resource allocation at the secondaries, matter a lot, or even how they involve teachers and other stakeholders matter a lot. When we look at the reason why I'm intending to look at this area is that as we all know that our education system is started undergoing reform since 2017, and the implementation of competency-based curriculum at secondary school levels, which we are currently calling senior secondaries, would be embarking in 2026, and we need to know whether these secondary schools, whether these principals who are the managers are ready for their CBC, what have they done, or what are these leadership styles that they are using, which will help us achieve the implementation of competency-based curriculum. And as I've said earlier, is that these principals occupy very unique positions in these institutions, all the way ranging from the structural, operational, instructional matters. All that matters or lies in the hands of these secondary school principals. The key objectives that I looked at were to find out ways principals ensure stability of school human resource in readiness to implement competency-based curriculum. Yeah, we know that we have human resource that are teachers and teaching and other stakeholders who are being involved in this curriculum implementation at the secondary school levels. How do principals ensure their stability? Remember, if these people are stable or they feel part of this curriculum, we will be able to achieve the implementation. The other objective was to establish the initiatives that have been undertaken in readiness for the implementation of competency-based curriculum. What is it that has been done to prepare for this competency-based curriculum? And the third one was to assess the principals' leadership styles exercised in readiness to competency-based curriculum implementation. As we all know that there are specific leadership styles that can help us achieve this implementation effectively. Maybe the role of our principals shifted, or the role of a teacher general has shifted from being being an instructor to a facilitator. You just facilitate learners on what they want to do. You just mentor that teacher to be able to deliver the pedagogies that are required or that are required by the learners in the classroom. So the leadership styles are very important for us to implement this curriculum fully. On to my literature. When you look at the standard aid by James 2019, is that the interpersonal leader principle must be effective to be for us to say that this principle is demonstrating the interpersonal leadership. He has to be effective. He has to show concern for teachers. He has to protect. He has to improve to help them improve their skills. If that these teachers need to be maybe need to undergo training. They need to attend workshops to improve their skills. Also, when we look at the standard aid by Mutism, most of the under-resourcing is an issue, especially in most of the schools, which is hindering implementation of competency-based curriculum. Especially in Tanzania, this was the key issue to implement, or the key hindrance to implementation of competency-based curriculum. Now we ask ourselves, when we look at our institutions, do we really have enough resources? Do we have what it takes for us to implement competency-based curriculum fully? When you look at the leadership skills, do our principals really have the leadership skills that are required? Which are some of the leadership skills or skills that they are using that we can say, looking at this institution, they are able to implement competency-based fully based on the leadership styles possessed by the secondary school principals. And the methodology that was used is that the study was conducted using descriptive survey design, and the target population was 867 participants. That is the 51 principals in Tigania West sub-county, 510 teachers, 255 ends of department, and 51 parents who are the class representative of the Form 3 class, which are the parents that have maybe they have taken long, or they have been in secondary school for quite some time. And a sample size of 10 principals, 60 teachers, that ends of department, and the 10 parents were selected using your main sample size tables. Also, data was collected using questionnaires, observation checklists, and interviews. Quantitative data was analyzed using descriptive statistics. Qualitative data was content analyzed and interpreted using statistical packages for social sciences version 20.0. Those are some of the findings. Means by which principals ensure stability of human resource within the school. It was noted that, or according to the data that was collected, most of the teachers saying that principals support them to attend workshops and seminars, which is one way of ensuring that the teachers are comfortable in those institutions. They also, 25.5% stated that their principals are sensitive to their individual needs, such that maybe when a teacher is affected, even seeking permission was not an issue to them. Others stated that teachers their principals were organizing joint trips, educational trips, and also some stated that they were being wanted during the prize givings. All these activities, they were there to indicate that these principles ensure the stability and the equity of the human resource in those institutions as a way of ensuring they are comfortable, they are free to give their they are free to be involved in the decision making, and they can be used to deliver the competency-based curriculum. I think that also from the principals, 80% of the principals, they indicated that they support both teaching and teaching staff through workshops and seminars. They are also sensitive to individual needs. Also, principals indicated that they ensure there is equity, that all the teachers and teaching staff are comfortable and they are motivated to deliver the curriculum. There are responses on the initiatives that should be taken by principals for the successful implementation of CBC. And one was that principals encourage teachers to attend and take CBC. Although these trainings, to some extent, they are not they have not been well undertaken in most of the institutions. Like you find one institution, only 4 teachers are trained, 2 like that. Also, ICT resources are required for this. There were new classrooms that were constructed, and also there are other things that need to be provided, as we will see later. Those are some of the leadership styles, and most of the teachers stated that the principals were using democratic leadership style, and this enables them to intermingle well with other teachers and teaching staff, whereby they even allocate or delegate some of the duties to the teachers, and some of the areas or the department dependent on the decisions made by their head of department, which shows that principals were using democratic leadership style. Conclusion. The study concluded that principals ensure stability, that in most of the schools there is need for acquiring of ICT resources and also laboratories and addition of classrooms. And we have seen that also the principals ensure, most of the principals were using democratic leadership style, which enabled them to ensure teachers are free, well motivated. The resources are even uniformly distributed to the department. The study recommends that there is need for thorough preparation in our institutions before we talk of CBC as being implemented in senior secondary schools. All the way from in servicing of teachers on the new pedagogical skills, and also there is also need to upgrade the schools, so that at least we should not have some of the schools with better facilities than others and leaving quite a very huge gap. So those are some of my references. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was good. Let's now have some feedback.
Okay, thank you, Jacinta, for that good presentation. I've seen you've done great progress in your study, and I'm assuming you're finalizing shortly, not the abstract like your other colleagues. So I would like you to take me back to your slide on methodology. Okay, you said there is a section, I think it's the next one, where you're talking about how you are analyzing your data, quantitative and qualitative, and there is a section you mentioned about using, I think you interchanged or something, so that qualitative data was coded and analyzed and interpreted using statistical packages. It's okay? All right. I just needed that clarification. All right.
Qualitative.
Qualitative.
Spaces.
Interchange between qualitative and quantitative.
You coded qualitative and you used SPSS to analyze?
Qualitative.
Qualitative.
Quantitative, there are numbers which you could even use the Excel to draw the charts. The
SPSS doesn't analyze.
Yeah.
The last is coded.
Yeah, the last one.
The last one, qualitative data was coded. Do you code qualitative data or quantitative? The interpretation. That's what you're pointing out at that.
Yeah, I needed her to clarify that qualitative, she coded qualitative data and at the same time she used statistical packages for social sciences to analyze the same.
So it's something for you to go and check and clarify.
Yeah.
Maybe I can also point something out. And just let us go back to the topic. Did we get it?
Yes, it's there.
Oh yeah. Okay, I am there. Secondary school principles, preparedness on implementation of competence-based curriculum. Based on that topic, I would have expected you to focus strictly on the principles preparedness. But I'm seeing like you are focusing, you are looking at other areas that are outside that. Because when you bring in the idea of principles preparedness, in terms of what? In terms of what? Personal preparation or school preparation, so that we include the resources and everything else. I would want you to look at that topic a bit. I don't know, yeah. You look at it, isn't it? Because if it is only principles preparedness, then I want them to imagine this in terms of personal skills that help the principal to now supervise implementation of CPC. But I can see like you're going beyond that, and therefore there is need to look at the content you have given us vis-a-vis the topic. Sawa? Yeah. Then there was also okay, the area of study should be included in the topic. Where did you study? Because the area of the study is not captured. I had you mention it in the process of your discussion. But we want to see where did you carry out your study. I think you said something in Tigania? Okay, so then we should have that one. Preparedness on implementation of competence-based curriculum in this maybe sub-county in Kenya, something like that, area of study. Then the other one is on the variables that you came up with. Variable on stability of human resource. And then I look at the question you have asked. If you go to that slide, where you talked about stability of human resource. Not the object, okay. Even there it's still okay. Ensure stability of school, human resource. Is the principle supposed to focus on the stability of the capacity? Capacity building of the staff, or the skill, developing the skills of the teachers. I don't think you meant stability. So please look at that so that you are able to focus on that. Because when I look at what you put under stability, then it is like now helping in developing the skills and capacity building of the staff.
Thank you, Dr. So, and
maybe the others through your supervisor.
Yes. So in the interest of time, I know we are running a bit late. So let us have the very last presentation and then we will break. I know we are running a bit over. But thank you. Thanks for listening. That's good. It's okay.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm David Morelli, a PhD student in the university, in the School of Education. I'm here to present on the topic secondary school principles, instructional leadership approaches in enhancing learners' academic performance. The study carried at Tigania East. Now, instructional leadership mostly focuses on those functions that the principals perform so as to increase students' learning. It consists of those direct and indirect practices of the principal that influence students' academic achievement. We realize in countries like USA, the principal is usually held accountable for student achievement. In other countries like Sri Lanka, the school principal is supposed to manage resources and come up with staff development programs to enhance student performance as well. In China and other countries like South Africa. In Kenya, the role of instructional leadership is vested in the school principal. Therefore, most of the time we tend to gauge the performance of the school, the success or the failure of the school, we tend to attribute it to the principal. Since most of the previous studies are focused on other areas that affect student performance, like teacher education, teaching styles, the class environment, and other socioeconomic factors, this study wished to focus on the principal as the key influence to student performance. A statement of the problem: the education in Kenya is usually mostly examination oriented. Therefore, the results in KCSE usually determine where students get to be placed, especially in tertiary colleges and universities. Several schools in Tigania, West Sub-County, have been performing dismally for a number of years. And going by what Hopkins 2019 says, that principals must be considered as the ones who directly influence the success of the student. Therefore, this study was geared at considering the principal as the key person in the institution who affects or influences the performance of the student. The key objectives are to determine the adequacy of teaching and learning resources that the principals avail. Secondly, to assess the supervision of the use of the teaching tools by the principals, and to establish the mentorship practices that principals use in order to enhance student academic performance. From a literature review, the principal as an instructional leader affects the quality of teacher instruction, the height of student achievement, and the degree of efficiency in the school functioning. Therefore, effective instructional leaders apply various approaches to ensure that they influence how students achieve academically. And some of these that we looked at are the adequacy of the teaching resources. Effective teaching and learning requires that the instructional leaders avail adequate teaching resources in terms of human and material resources. A study done by Nasiminoy in 2020 in Gilgit, Nakuru, was able to realize that there was a difference in performance, whereby in private school, in public schools, their performance was little or dismal compared to the private schools, and especially the cause of this difference in performance was as a result of the availability of learning resources. So this study excluded human resources, did not look at maybe the teachers as part of the learning resources. Therefore, this current study wished to look at both the human resources, like teachers, and the material resources. Okay. Then we're considering supervision of teaching. This study wanted to investigate the influence of instructional supervision, and considering a study that was done in Loitoktok in sub-county, it was realized that the checking of professional documents by the principal had a positive influence on student performance. Mentorship practices. Principals can be involved in mentoring teachers either directly or indirectly, and this study wished to investigate whether the principals in Tigania East sub-county apply such mentorship activities. The methodology, we used a descriptive survey. The sample size was obtained through Credicy Cochrane sample size tabulation model. We got 240 students, 50 teachers, and the principals were obtained purposefully. The findings, part of the methodology as well, the schools were stratified according to their performance, and we had 3 categories of school, what we call the high performing schools, the average performing schools, and the low performing schools, with their means as shown there. To the findings, regarding the adequacy of teaching resources availed by the principals, we realized that it was found that 80% of the principals in high performing schools provided a variety of learning and teaching resources as compared to the 60% of the average performing schools and 30% of the low performing schools. That is shown on the graph. Then regarding supervision of teaching tools, the findings established that about 70% of the principals in high performing schools check the preparation and the use of the teaching tools, whereas about 50% in average performing schools and only 30% of the principals practice that. That's shown on the graph. Then there is the mentorship practices employed by the principals in enhancing academic performance. About 60% of the principals in high-performing schools mentored their teachers directly on curriculum delivery, but only 20% in both the average performing schools and low-performing schools did mentor their teachers. Concerning supporting professional development of teachers, it was realized that the principals in high-performing schools, about 80% of them support their teachers. But in average performing schools, only 60%, and the low-performing schools, about 50% do support their teachers. It's shown there. Then maybe in the conclusion part, we were able to look at the overall rating of the principal now as an effective instructional leader. And we realized that about 90% of the principals in high-performing schools were rated as excellent instructional leaders, while 50% of the principals in average performing schools and low performing schools were rated as average instructional leaders. In conclusion, the findings indicate that there is a relationship between the principal's ability as an instructional leader and the performance of the school. And this agrees with the findings of MUASA in 2021, whose study indicated that instructional leadership affects student performance positively and negatively depending on the ability of the principals.
Thank you.
So maybe a statement in conclusion is that
Time is up.
yeah, it's okay.
So these are some of those things, and then we are training you guys as students. Figuring out how much time you have and therefore how many slides and what you're going to pack into the slides. All right? But thank you. Thanks for that presentation. So let's have some reactions from the floor before we are released for the day. I do realize we've been seated quite a bit. Let's let that.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. My question is, what was your population? I think that slide was left out. I just included just the final sample, but it is in the main paper. Yeah. The question the reason I start is because at some point I've seen you have picked 50 principles using purposive. Sorry, 50. 10, yeah, principles. Using a purposive. Why did you choose on purposive?
Well, the reason is because the principals are the ones who were actually directly involved in the I would just purposive sampling process because the principals were the main respondents in regard to instructional leadership. We felt that they would have more data regarding instructional leadership.
Because one weakness of the purposive is brings bias, because it's you who decides who principal to pick with your own reasons, which are not, because it's an unprobate method. Now it brings that weakness to your research and makes it not fit to be generalized for another. So it kind of limits you. So that's why my question on the population, because I would expect in that sub-county, probably those schools are not 50. Which means that if they are not even, probably they may not get to that. Which means even census would have talked to every other principal that those schools which should have given your research are more resources that are more empirically supported. So that was my concern in that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, this is maybe a little bit peripheral to your methodology, but I was wondering, are there other factors that affect status of what's a high-performing school? For example, the distribution geographically. You find like more high-performing schools in urban areas as opposed to rural areas, more remote areas. Can you find a high-performing school in a place like Mituture? Or is it purely reducible to the fact of personnel? You take a good principal, you put them in a disadvantaged school, and the school will perform better. You get me? Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's a question.
Sorry?
That was a question. Excuse me. I was asking a question. I was wondering if you could respond.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were giving me feedback.
No,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, I think maybe from the intonation I felt as if it was a comment. Well, could I maybe get the...
No, I'm basically asking you, are there other factors besides the personnel that affects why school becomes high performing? So did you find some of the high performing schools in other areas, in disadvantaged areas? With the implication is that if you have a school in like a low resource area, say from I know Tigania West, a place like Mituture, you know, you have a poor school that's poor performing, you place a different principal there, it becomes a high-performing school. So is the principal independent variable, or are there other factors that affect the performance of the school? That's my question.
Okay, thank you. Actually, even from the conclusion, I can say that even if there could be other factors that influence student academic performance, the instructional leadership approaches that the principal uses are able at least to mitigate some other factors that may contribute to the performance of the student. So my main focus here was on the principal, because the principal is the manager of resources. He should be able to, he is expected at least to mobilize resources, even if we do not have enough teachers, maybe come up with some ways to recruit some teachers through BOM and such things, mobilize maybe other resources. So my main focus was what the principals do, at least despite the challenges, to ensure that the performance of the student is a little bit higher than expected.
Yes, you conveyed that.
Yeah.
Understood.
Thank you.
So I guess that's it then. Thank you. I guess this is kind of a bit about it. All right, thank you very much, everyone, and thanks for your patience. I know we have taken a little longer than we probably should have. And that brings us to our lunch break. So lunch is served at the cafeteria, and everybody's invited. Right? So we'll break here for today. There will be the School of Business in the afternoon. You're all welcome to come and participate as well and give the school support. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Did you find any
Sorry?